Hello, everyone, and welcome to Zest Zen with me, Shel Marie, the podcast that will take you on a journey from the hustle to the harmony, fueling your passion whilst finding your peace. Today, I am super excited to welcome Dani Rosenblad James. She is an international best-selling author, speaker, and the founder of the Storyteller's Path. Through her extraordinary resilience and a journey of deep self-healing, she invites us into the transformative power of storytelling, where lived experiences become wisdom and stories become legacies. With courage and compassion, she now turns life's most challenging chapters into purpose, healing, and lasting impact. I am super excited to connect with her and find out more. And if you feel called, I want you to share a little love by subscribing. It costs you absolutely nothing, but it supports these powerful stories being exposed to more people, more hearts, more minds. And if you have done so already, thank you, thank you, thank you. And may this episode bring you the courage, self-trust, and gentle permission to own your own truth. Welcome, 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 Dani.
Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. And I know you've shared it with me, but I think I purposely didn't explicitly say kind of almost, I don't want to say the start because I don't know the full story, but what you've shared with me and what you experienced. So if you would like to, if there's anything you would like to share about that, to give the viewers an insight into truly more than just storytelling, like what you've been through is remarkable. So I would love you to share that.
Yeah, definitely. So my story, I didn't start off where I am today without going through what I went through. And it's that what turned into my catalyst for me to realize that we have so much power within ourselves and we forget about that. And so we tend to be, if you're like me, you have to literally get hit on the head a few times. And yes.
I
And
hear
so
you.
and so what happened to me is I found out I was going the wrong way. I ended up going through a really bad car accident. It was a 7-car pileup. It was black ice in Wyoming, and visibility was less than a mile. So this is back in the time when I lived in the US. And all I remember is going, oh crap. And then I hit one of the cars. I spun, did a 360, and I had a small truck. And that truck turned into a convertible because the whole top was taken off like a sardine can. And it ended up leaving a huge gash here. So I still have a scar underneath my hair. And it was brutal. I was the one that was hurt the most out of everyone, and I was also the last one there. They had to induce me in a coma, and they ended up they end up helicoptering me Utah, Salt Lake City, so I could get the help that I needed. And what ended up happening, I was in ICU for 10 days. Had to relearn how to walk, use my
gosh.
work on my balance, and it wasn't something easy. It wasn't just like, oh, just one hit on the head. I had several. Found out that I had fractured my neck, so I was so close to being paralyzed for the rest of my life.
Oh my gosh.
And when I learned that, I was so grateful. Because
wow.
I realized how bad it could have been, but I didn't. I had the chance to try again, to restart my life. And so when I look at my traumatic brain injury, I look at it as a gift. This blows some people's mind. They think I'm just crazy. And it's like, I had to go through something so intense like that for me to learn the lessons that I needed. And for me to understand that I was going in the wrong direction. I had so much more to give to help others. And what I was doing at the time, I was a marijuana weed farmer. So I loved doing that because I was surrounded by nature and it was on my terms. I got to do whatever I wanted when I wanted. But I was in such a standstill. I wasn't thinking of a future. I wasn't thinking of what could I give or help other people. I was just like, oh, I just do this and I'm good. But then I had the
Mm.
accident and I realized I have so much more to give.
Wow. Yes. Wow. Oh my gosh. And was I'm just intrigued, and it's not of any judgment whether it was or it wasn't, but did you find the gratitude came in quite quick as well, or did you find that you had to really navigate first and feel the feelings and go through everything and almost have that transition, not transition, but you know what I mean, of realization, thinking even in worse scenarios, and then coming to the gratitude? Or did you generally like have that moment of wow, whoa, like almost instantly?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And what happened for me was after I came out of the a coma, I was foggy, didn't understand what had happened. I was a bit frustrated, angry, and
Yeah.
I didn't understand why. And so they told me what had happened, and I just sat in the hospital bed thinking, now what? And
Mm.
I got this inner voice say to me, this is but a moment. And so when
Wow.
I got that, I felt, oh, yes, I get to choose what happens next because this is my story and I'm the one writing it, no one else.
Wow.
And so it was from that day that I started pushing towards healing and getting better and doing all the steps and the things. It wasn't easy.
No.
I mean, it was, I think, let's see, about a month or two later, I think I started kind of losing my grasp on the good of the accident of it because it was intense.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then that's when the police officer, the sheriff that had found me, he was going to be retiring in 2 weeks. And he said, that was the worst accident I've had my entire career and all these things. And so he found out where I was located in California and called me
Oh.
just to talk to me and see how I was doing. And he's the one that told me about the fracture in my neck that I didn't know about. And so that's when I got filled with gratitude all over again. I fell
Mm.
to the seat next to me and I'm like, wow, my life could have been completely different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it felt like when I was trailing off of seeing the good, something came my way to remind me that, hey,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
doing good.
Beautiful. And just thinking about the kind of process you went through, because I feel um did you always have this mindset and this way with life, and connecting to something I believe greater than yourself prior to this, or was this something that developed after this happened to you?
I've thought about this and I think I've always had some kind of connection a lot of my life, but I didn't realize what it was.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was it wasn't like I was trying to grasp towards something or someone. It's just I felt there was something there.
yeah,
Just never put anything on.
yeah.
And as I grew up, I my family was Christian and kind of pushed it on me.
Mm,
And of course, being as I was, I pushed back.
yeah.
And I didn't want to fall in suit, and I didn't like how they couldn't answer my questions when I went to a church school and things like that. And it just felt like they were trying to put me in a bubble, and I didn't feel like I fit.
Yeah.
And so after this accident, it opened my eyes to a whole new world
Yeah.
because of that inner voice that I had, and then
Mm, mm.
just all of the things that had happened and how I felt there was something there, and I could, you know, talk in a different form in with like
Beautiful. The only reason why I asked that is because I just think back to just other conversations I've had and my own journey, and it's just because your I believe your inner voice sounded so healing and beautiful. And I also know that sometimes that takes a lot of work prior to that to get your brain to be that kind, nurturing, uplifting, and it's not every day, but generally it takes work. So that's why I was intrigued after everything you'd gone through, how it was just it was almost like a mother to you, and like, don't worry, we got this. Like, just you wait to see what's gonna come. And obviously I'm just paraphrasing it like how I heard it. Like, I'm not saying that that's how it was, but I think that's beautiful, because it could be very much the other way, which I know people easily go into, and I'm sure with your line of work, and I'd love to know your take on this, because it's important, I think, for us to show all different perspectives, all different aspects. And I know that there's a lot of people when these really traumatic, life-changing things happen, that they can go into these very dark and what if, and it can almost like become the opposite of really controlling them, and fear, and limit them really intensely. So, and I'm not saying that that did not happen to you, but I know that what you are doing now is incredible for, I believe, helping more so not just the people that have had a similar experience to you, but those people that you can really, try to pull out all the greatness of what's happened to them. And I know you'll expand on that in a minute with all that you're creating.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love how you point out that, it takes time and effort to get to that level of being able to hear properly. So in my case, I think, I'm 100% sure, I guess, that my ego was knocked out of place. So when I had that accident, I didn't have that block there. So the
Wow.
first 2 years were so much easier for me just to accept and
Mm.
allow and let the healing process happen. Of course, I still had rough times here and
Yes.
there, but I know that I had that cap off, like it been felt unlimited.
Mm.
And it was those 2 years that I also felt frustrated and angry because
Yeah.
I could feel I was missing a piece of me.
Mm.
And I couldn't understand that. I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't know what was going on, but it made it easier for me to accept and allow. So it worked out. And now, after writing my book, when I was writing it, I got to look back and perceive my life in a different way and understand that, oh, wait, I did that. That was to help me heal. Oh, I did that. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
beautiful. I can relate 100% to what you're saying, and it's not saying that that certain ways of processing or modalities or anything are better than any other. But for me as well, I found that when I write often, because it's coming out and it's onto a physical, tangible thing that I read, it's almost like you're separate from it. And like what you say, you go, whoa. Because when I think it's all internal, even sometimes when you speak it, it does happen with speaking sometimes, but it depends on the type of exchange of conversation, whether it's I think you can kind of grasp what I'm saying. There's different types of communication, but when you really just sometimes even freely write, whether it's with intention and purpose or not, like what I felt like you said, you did it and you were in the moment and you knew it, but then you were like, whoa, afterwards. And I think it's such an incredible reflective process.
Yeah.
And I often get so many insights from literally, and I think there was a time, and I'd love your perspective on this. There was a time where I was still, even though it was personal to me, I was still very much writing it in a way that wasn't fully really letting out exactly how I felt inside. And so even to myself, I was still kind of, oh no, high vibe, all this, all this. And then the moment, that maybe I wanted to put swear words in there, maybe I wanted, because there were certain feelings I was feeling, was the moment that I didn't realize it was really letting it out and then being like, oh, I don't know why, but I feel really good now. Like, and then seeing it from a different perspective and angle, it's really powerful.
Yeah. And this is something that I talk to my members and my clients about too, because as I'm teaching them how to write and publish a book, it's
Yeah.
so important to remember that you have to turn off your brain sometimes. And
Yes.
and it's just like what you were talking about, where you're letting it flow out of you. And that's a great way
Mm.
to figure out what you want to write about, or some of the parts that you're going to have in it, or just doing that first draft, getting
Mm-mm.
it to paper out of your whole body, and then
Mm-mm.
later on you bring in the mind.
Yes. Thank you so much, Danny, because like now, even thinking about it, especially say someone connects with you and they're like, right, I want to write this story straight away, whether we call it the ego or whatever. It's like, oh, the purpose and the intention. And we straight away go straight to the goal of like, oh, I'm writing a book and people are going to read this. And I think we lose that. So I love that you said that you explained that. We lose that just getting it out and then sorting it out because I think that's the beauty. Like, even when I was trying to say to people, like, when they want to first start going online or recording themselves, and they'll literally be so held on it looking a certain way. But I said, but no one actually said to push send and put that online. So just record, write whatever it is, and just allow that creative expression. No one is now saying, okay, that's submitted. Now the world's going to see it. That's going, and I think we forget that little process in between of just really allowing us to, like what you said, let it out. It doesn't mean that that is going to be put into the book or whatever you're creating. So I love that I think that's a really powerful stage for people to really connect with really truly how they feel in, and for that for the audience to really feel that as well. But again, without airing everything, like just doing it to start with and then pulling it back together.
Yeah, and it's like I have different levels that I teach, so it depends where the person's at. But usually I want to start it off with the ideal reader map. So it's
Mm.
like you understanding your ideal reader's heart. You understand what is underneath this story that you want to share. This could be you just have an idea for a story. Maybe you don't even have it fully planned out yet or an idea of exactly what it wants. So that's when I would say do the good old word vomit is what I call it.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
like brain dumping, but I like the visual I get with word vomit because that's what you're doing. You're just letting it come out of you so much. And that's I usually say do mind maps with that and play with what you want to have in there and just let it come out of you. And
Mm,
there's different instances where you use the flow method where you just let it come out of you.
beautiful.
And it's like you have peppered in some where you use the mind and have a little bit more of a structure in some way, but
Yeah,
you have to get them to work together. And there are instances, especially when it's the writing process, that you
yes,
just come out.
yeah. Because I'm just thinking aloud here because also it doesn't always mean that it's got to be from the start to the end. It might be more exciting to put that and then leave it as a cliffhanger. I think that's where you so beautifully come into it, because that there's writing something and expressing it, and then there's someone seeing it from a different angle and perspective, and how the reader, like what you said, like what kind of reader it will naturally attract, what's the best ways to really to get your message across, because again, um things can be one experience but told very differently. So I think it's incredible what you're doing, and I would love you to use this time now to anyone listening that they're thinking, gosh, I would actually really love to do that. Like, what kind of advice would you give them?
I would have to say that our minds are non-linear. So we have to remember that if you have an idea that comes out here, and it's not going with the story,
Yeah.
that's completely fine. You can write a chapter here, and then maybe your 10th chapter here, and then maybe your 5th chapter. So you don't have to go in some kind of order. You
Yeah.
do this what feels right for yourself when you're doing the writing process. And it's so important to have the heart and the mind to work together.
Yeah.
Because
Beautiful.
if you just write with the heart, yes, it's good, but you're missing the mind, which helps you get the right people. You help you with your visibility. It helps you with so many things to give you that traction. And then
Beautiful.
it also helps with having the inner story and the outer story. I mean, the more that I write and the more that I teach this, because I'm also learning sometimes. I mean, I believe that a great teacher is one that learns from their students.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and so it's the more I'm learning even more. There are so many different layers when it comes to writing a book. And it's so many people don't realize like, oh, I want to write a book. Now I just need to write. No, 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 no. It's so much more than just writing. You need
Yes.
that intention, like we had mentioned. You need to think of the people that are reading your book because you're writing this book more than just for yourself. You're writing
Yes.
it to help what other people, those specific people, your ideal readers, what they're looking for. If they're looking for some inspiration, hope, guidance, it's so important to remember that.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Thank you. And I guess I'm not saying that this is the only types of people or clients that you attract, but because of your own story and maybe people relating to that and then wanting to have someone who's able to support them with that, I can imagine with the people you connect with, it is definitely not just the writing a chapter. Like they're going to have a whole process with that because if they're having that moment of reading it back or and I'm not saying they relive it, but it's not easy content that they're tapping back into to package, because it's not just a story, it's their life. So I can imagine that, again, that there's editors, there's publishers, things like that. But when I think you're writing for a particular purpose, having someone who can really relate to that side of it as well is really, really important. Because it's much more than someone just reading it for grammar or, it's your legacy in a way because it's something you're putting onto physical form that, again, if you have children or you don't have children or family or other people that were a part of that experience, it's going to naturally not just affect you but affect your readers and anyone else who's going to engage with it. So
Yeah. And when a person is writing something that's very personal, I tell them to stay aware. Like, even if they're just doing the letting it flow out, stay aware that that's the past. That's not your present. That's not
yeah,
your future.
yes,
So
yes,
you have to detach yourself because you are reliving it. When you're writing it, you are feeling those feelings. You're going through it all over again. And
yeah,
that's why it's vital to have that detachment, to look at it objectively, and to remember that your present isn't that. You've
yeah.
grown from that. You've learned so much from that. So they have to change the way that they look at it. And when they have those hard times, it's best to reach out to me or some of the other clients that I have. I just don't want people to feel like they're alone because so many go through this. And the reason that your heart is telling you to get this out onto paper, to share it, is because other people are waiting for it. And
Absolutely, yes. I think that's, yeah, that I always find in anything you do, and it's definitely not downplaying what someone's been through, but I think often we make it about ourselves and we don't think about the impact it's going to have on others. Why, like, more than just writing the book or more than standing on the stage and speaking, the why. Why are you doing that? And you so beautifully express that, so thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, Dani. I think it's incredible what you are doing, creating, and I'm sure you're doing more than just helping someone create their own book. You're really inspiring and impacting so many lives. So, thank you for that. I'm going to put all your details in the show notes. But again, if there's anything that you feel like you would like to express or how people can get in contact with you, feel free now.
Thank you so much. So, since you mentioned the why, oh, I feel like this is really important to say. With my members and my clients, that is the number one question I always ask to them when I have a one-on-one with them.
Yeah.
And I ask them, why? Why do you want to write this book?
Yeah.
And so they have to think about it, and they usually give me an answer with their head. And so I say, okay, that's great. Now tell me your answer with the heart.
Yeah.
And so they have to focus a bit more, and sometimes they judge with what comes up. But I say that is your why. This is the why that's going to help you on those days that you don't want to work, or that's going to help you on those days where you're just like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So the why is so vital to have, because that's going to be your compass to bring you back home.
Beautiful. Wow, that's really, really beautiful. And that's why again I would like to re-say the importance of having not just someone that's, guiding you to create a book, being like a mentor as well. And I think it's incredible what you're doing. And just before you go, if there was a message, it doesn't have to be linked to anything we've said, but just whatever comes to your mind and that you feel like someone listening right now would really benefit from hearing, what would you tell them?
I would have to say that I truly believe everyone's story matters. Like you heard about mine, a traumatic brain injury, and all of the hardships I went through.
Yeah.
Yours doesn't have to be so intense. It doesn't have to be this big thing. It could be the littlest thing. It could be seeing a person across the street and you give them a smile or something, and that just makes their day. Think of making a book that is about how to help other people smile.
Wow.
Or it could be something that we might see as small, but if it's something big to you, that means it's going to be big for someone else out there. So
absolutely. And even thinking about the example of the smile, it's often in these little consistent seeds that we hear, we read, we implement that make the biggest change. So I agree with you 100%. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You've been an incredible guest, and I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. It's been
You're so welcome.